I think a lot of us don't know. So Ron is going to show us how that works.
Yeah, so first I'm just going to talk about some of the differences between the new method and the old method. We'll do like a quick dive into some of the mechanics of it and what the differences in the sign is. So first thing is old date conversion, like I'm sure a lot of you have seen it, lives behind the last start button. So it lives behind the last start button. You've got a convert date command and then a format date command, and there's so you got these two commands, and they're using a whole bunch of block control variables to do that. That's still available on the newer versions. You can, so if you upgrade an existing line, you're still going to use what you already have. But starting on 740 and above, you have newer date conversion, which rather than being global and being behind a last start button, you can actually configure differently for every class. And there's a very good setup guide on it, so I won't talk about the syntax of it too much because you can look it up in the setup manual. But it's a similar concept. You just have a format date command in each station, and you have your expiration date, your in formats, and your out formats. I think the main reason this was developed was, I'm sure a lot of you have seen that Canada date format where they have 2-letter months rather than 3-letter months, and it doesn't match up with what Microsoft's locales are. And the way we used to handle that was you'd have the operator enter the date twice, which is not ideal. So with the newer method, you can use these commands, and what it allows you to do is define your own months. And the way that happens is, so like for example, I'll show you the file, I'll come back to it. So where that file lives is in the bin folder. So it's this device manager locales file. And this is just the one that comes with the installer. They by default just put in something in there that just has one locale. And the way this looks is this locale name here. This is going to match your lock control variable value exactly for your output locale. And then the short attribute here, whatever is in here, when you use your 3 M's together, MMM, it's going to replace it with that value. And what you can do is you can copy this out and create new locales. So I'll show you a couple things that are different between the two. Backup tips. Because I know, so Damien has actually, in his newer baselines, he started setting them up. There's like a 740 and newer baseline that has this built into it. So I'm sure a lot of the older customers, they're probably just keeping the same default archive and you won't see it, but if you have a new customer, it's going to start appearing. And like I said, there's some differences in the block control variable setup because for the old date conversion, first it takes your input format and it puts it in like an exp date num or some null format, and then it'll convert it into what you need. So there's some extra variables you need with the old format. Well, man. So again, this is just the old one. I'll just show you like some of these. I'm sure you've seen this expiration date numeric and like a unit print. They're usually in the background. I just display them so you can see them easier. And kind of what you get, you start the lot, even though they're NA right now, when it starts the lot, it changes them over. And I have the correct values. And that's what can push down into IPS is the value you want. But with newer date conversion, you actually get is those values, they'll still be NA, which is why Damien's taken them out in the newer baselines. And another, I'll show you real quick, another thing that we've been finding. So right now I'm using this en.us locale, which is not one of them that I configured in the file that you just saw. It just had a different one, but it's not the same value. So what we found was that it converts it correctly, but you actually get, I don't know how well you can see, but this is it's JAN for January, but only the J is capitalized. So what we've had to do is, even if we're using one of the built-in Microsoft locales, you put it in the file. I know what I've been doing, like I've been using this at one of the sites in particular, is when I do the handover, I give you that file and I say, put it in the bin folder. It's already configured the way that you need it. So I'll show you real quick just what that file, what the one I have is. The other, there's a couple more reasons I like to use that one. So one is, like if you're doing manufacturing date for some classes but not others, I'm sure you've seen in the past where like you have to enter a date in the correct format.
Can you share your screen?
Sure.
Just the application. Just virtual.
I don't know that.
I was going to pull it from the first time. Oh, you're not going to use the other screen? Other folder? Yeah.
Yeah, so the other two things I like about it is, one, I don't have to put any values in manufacturing date because the lot start, like I said, it was global, so I always had to have a value in manufacturing date even if I didn't need it. The other reason is I can very easily take the list from file and I can send it to the customer and say, hey, this is what I'm going to configure. Is it what you want? And if it's not, it's very easy to change. So this is the one I usually use. I don't really have that many. The one I need it for is Canada. But I also put in the US ones because otherwise they show up lowercase. And I think I use Brazil as well. You can put whatever you want in there, as long as it's just this matches locale, and then this is what your date's actually going to be. So I haven't even bothered changing these ones because I don't have any customers who use the one. I think you can do that with 4 M's instead of 3. That's still the same as old date conversion. So those are the benefits. There are a couple of trade-offs. So the one drawback is because it's an equal format date command, I can't concatenate anything with it here. And so like the two situations where that impacts me is like one, if I'm doing like say like a 171030 barcode inspection, and I want to create that barcode match string. With old date conversion, I would have done it in Builder, but with new date conversion, what I'm doing is I'm passing it into a script tool and then building the match string with the script tool. You also could have it if you have, say like you're using a laser printer, like a Domino, and you have it set to a non-serialized class with a 2D, and you have it with no serialization, it doesn't run the format blocks. That's not an option with this approach. You would have to have it in either a buffered mode or one print per trigger, because it has to run the format blocks, because you can't do that formatting here. So like I said, it's not really a problem, but if you're trying to convert from one class to another, it's not really going to work straightforward unless you have those extra script tools or that extra formatting happening in Vision or it's.
So when I changed that on you, screwed everything up. See, like that, would you consider a configuration change? I look in the print block, non-serialized class, and he had it set to buffered, and we were having an issue. So I was like, oh. So we switched it, and then worse things happened. So I'm emailing him, going, what is going on there? I said, no. Even all of that customer queries, there's even the non-serialized all have to be set to buffered.
That's one piece of it. There's other reasons why that happens for that customer that don't really apply to this.
But in general, like a change like that as a FE, yeah, I'm just going to make it on the fly. Like I'm not going to ask for permission. You know, it's obviously something. And so he didn't even catch what was going on. And then when I told him I changed it, then it was like, oh no, put it back. But stuff like that. So I didn't realize because of this configuration that it all had to be set until he just said it now.
Yeah, this is one of the reasons. I know I've had a couple people. I know both of you were out there recently, and I think you saw the script tools, and you're like, well, what are those script tools doing? Why do I need them? This is the reason for it. You also probably, I think what I'm doing there, because they like to move their products between classes, and the classes have different data formats. That you can actually, rather than have this as a lock control variable value, you can put in, I guess none of you can see that, but basically it's between two quotes, you put actually the date format for the locale itself. So you can do that. I would say generally keeping it in the products is the correct approach. It's just a lot simpler to manage it that way.
They're one of the customers who likes to like have not even a test line, but like a working line. Then take that archive, move it over to another line, and they expect it's just going to work automatically. And like I was saying, you know, Doug Bennett's defense, it's not going to work because you have different print quality, you have different lighting and stuff. So then all of a sudden they're wondering why is Vision fail? It should work perfectly. Everything should work. Same archive that works over there. It doesn't work like that.
So fixed text, it executes as lot start.
Yeah.
So when you start a lot, it will run this fixed text formatting, right? And expiration date unit print will have the value, which is the converted value.
No, it's not going to go into a lock control.
What is
This will push into the alias. This is putting into the alias.
Oh yeah, this is to the alias. So it will go into the alias.
Yeah.
So, but it happens at the lot start.
Yeah, or device recovery or send new data.
Okay, so your format block now has this value, which is the converted value.
Exactly. Yeah. So, like I said, we the one I had in there was the file was a little different. So it's just I think there was like dash in case.
Yeah.
And I guess the other important piece with it, which is really a PE thing, but I know I missed it at least one time. Generally, if you're using new date conversion, you don't want to have the old date conversion commands behind one stuff. There's not really typically a reason why you would use them both. And if you have if you have that candidate class, it's not going to work. that pushes in.
Okay, so Alias brings that in, right? Now you're able to do any formatting as you please from this point on. So what was the comment about these quick tools?
Well, so it was like if I'm pushing in a division and I want it to be one barcode match string that has 17, 10, 30.
Yeah.
This can only create not even the 17, but just the YYMMTD.
Yeah.
So what I have is I have a script tool with the name of the barcode, and it'll I just set it up to concatenate data 1 through data 8. So I push in 17 to data 1, I push in this to data 2, and I push in 10 lot number 30 quantity into data 3.
To populate the mastering for the...
Yeah, just because you can't, like if I try to do that in Builder, I do something like I try to say,
Yeah, you
I
can't do
want
it
it to be
here.
17,
Yeah,
like it'll, just to show you what it does, like it doesn't work. You'll be able to start the lot, but it'll think that you just want the text format date, parentheses, EXP date. Like it's just treats it as a literal text rather than actually like a
Change it to the Canadian one, right? Just 2-digit. Where's that shown?
He wasn't using the, he's using US.
Oh.
He had it in the file.
Oh,
He's not using it. But essentially it gives me control over how the format should look, versus before it was inside of the HTML that I have no way of going into. Another thing is, if you have 20 classes, you don't have to have those locked to variables on every single class. Right? You know how we have to create 6 locked to variables?
Yeah.
And every single class, those 6, they don't need the conversion done in 4.1.5. I had to have those because it's running with this.
It's a lot more flexibility to it. But yeah, now it's in there, so if I do like, let's say I want to type it in as US, I don't think I have this online.
You never had to work with this with the MFGD too, right?
Yeah, that's what it shows up as.
Yeah, you always have to add the MFG dates on every single class.
Yep.
Yeah,
6 locked into variables.
that's what this is really nice for. And I always have quality people like, why is there a value of not using manufacturing data?
You need it.
There's ways around that too, but this is a lot cleaner. You don't really have to think about it. The other thing is around now.
Yeah. The idea was all the classes have to have all the life of the variable, whether you use it or not. That was changed.
No, same.
So this new
It will only change when we completely convert it over to a new date conversion method. But we have a hybrid situation now. We're still using the older method.
The other noteworthy thing, since you guys are doing field work, you have like a syntax error in there. The error you're going to see is a little bit generic. It'll tell you, see what it shows you. But if I remember right, it shows you if it's on Advisor or if it's on Sentry, but it doesn't tell you what station. So if you have like multiple vision stations, it's not necessarily obvious. Yeah, it tells you like I don't know what it's doing, but
Terminated string constant.
you can get all kinds of weird stuff. But it doesn't mean
And that's actually clearer for kids. It's a lot clearer than most other.
it's nice because you can see the whole syntax of it, so you can look at the error and say, is there a typo in there or something? But it doesn't tell you where it is. That was a problem I had on the first line I pushed this out on, because I mistyped a lot of things, and we couldn't find it. That's pretty much it. It's, like I said, it works pretty much the same. You still use your in and out format and locales, but it's just there's some more flexibility since it's not a global command per class, per station, if you want to different.
So the format that you can put into that format is that in the XML file, or is there a generic list of usable formats?
So you basically have to configure it yourself. It's really more PE, I would say. I mean, I'm sure on this, but not. If you want to match what's in U.S. locales, you have to look up where the U.S. strings to the locales. Which actually do a whole day conversion to figure out what they're supposed to be in that format.
I think the baseline,
No, the baseline is how it was when I got it up. I had to set this file. It had just one, and it was en-us so if you want to actually use this, you have to change it.
Well, so you copy it. I pulled the baseline, and when you just it gives you valid expiration data incorrect, just change the format if that's incorrect. Like the formats they have in the baseline, so like I'll put up the baseline so you can find it.
Yeah, and it could also be maybe you're in that situation where you have old date conversion and new date conversion, and you're trying to just use them. Could be a lot of things.
So how are we going to achieve, like, for instance, we have an input as month dash or slash day slash yy. And I have a different output, for instance, like, you know, I would like it for instance.
Yeah, so actually the same way with the date conversion. So this is the setup manual I have up on the screen. Setup manual. And so for the format, these are the different references you can use. Generally, you're just going to see like 2 M's, 3 M's, 2 D's, 2 years, but also 4 years. But this is what each one of them is. So, you know, if you have a month and you don't want leading zeros, you use 1 M. If you want leading zeros, you use 2. These 3 M's, like I said, that goes to that short attribute in that file. And then I think the 4 goes to long in that file, or that's what it says here. I haven't used it.
So let's go through this example, the actual.
Yeah.
So,
Let's see if I'm putting month dash day dash yy or doesn't matter. I'm going to get output for like sending to printer, for instance, month, year.
MMYYYY. Typical case.
Do we have any instruction to
yeah, so
Technical guide's pretty good. But
yeah, technical guide is pretty good. So you want what as an input?
month dash day dash yy.
Okay. Right input. Okay. So it's December 31st, 2019. Or 2019. That's because they used the wrong number. That's the whole date conversion. Not like it.
Yeah, I mean, we should have do something in the background, right? And it,
Well, I put a mistake in there before and I didn't take it back out. No, so I mean, in the background, the way I have it is just. Let me fix this. I'll bring it back up. Just going back to the technical guide, we'll go back up to the tax from banks. So right across the top there is exactly what it is. So you have 5 parameters going into that command. You have your input date, your input locale, your input format, your output date, and then your
for the syntax now, right?
yeah. So this is the syntax, and the way it has it shown here is like you put in the literal values of what you want, which you can do. You can put it in quotes like this, but you could also have all 5 of them be in this format, where you use the brackets and it's the lock control variables. So the way I have it set up in the archive for this demonstration is.
We should do it this way because all the lock control variables are there anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You should have 6 there already anyway. It's not like you adding them. So that way you know.
They're in the main mode. So
Yeah, the EXP, you know, all these 6.
Yeah.
Because they're all there.
Yeah, and then generally speaking, you don't want to control these at the class level. Because I've done it for specific customers. But generally, you want to control it by the product parameters. So that's why when I'm changing these product parameters, they're just feeding into that command. And I guess I should say, these locales, they only matter if you're using letters for the months. Yeah. So if it's not MMM, it doesn't matter what they are.
what does that do?
It doesn't support current locale.
Oh, it does matter.
Yeah, so that's what happens if the locale is not one of them in the file.
Your in format changed.
Yeah.
And now it worked. It's actually not that different than before.
Yeah, it's the same inputs.
idea.
It's just you eliminate that middle lock control variable. And then
Well, it looks at your clock, for whatever reason. The num one. You talk about the num, right?
yeah.
It looked at your IPC date and populated that. If you ran it the old change. Yeah. Yeah.
What are you saying?
The num is the old com, which is the common, the lock control variable.
Yeah.
The script calls out and looks to see what, the date that shows up on stuff, and it shows it's populated that.
Oh, at the top. I thought you were saying it looks at your PC clock.
Well, the top one is looking at your PC clock. That's how it's getting that value.
Well,
So it's looking biased.
No, it's looking at the commands behind the left start button.
The com, look at the old technical guide. I'll see exactly what it does.
There might be one that also does that, but that's not when you use the.
You're talking about the older method.
Now?
Older method. Yeah.
Why would you?
Older method, the num.
Right. This is EXP date num right here. Right. This is old Jacob rate. Right. So you're saying it should pull 2016?
It looks at the current date format. Let me pull out the old guide. It tells you.
Oh, the format. Okay, never mind.
Format
That's fine. I think you're saying it pulls the actual date.
Date, no.
of
It looks at the
Why would
date
you
and
want
it pulls
that?
up the date.
Yeah, I mean, it pulls out, I thought it was always just the number of the month, then the letters of the month in English, and then
No, if you
the
change,
year.
if
But
you change the regional time setting,
I
and
believe there. That's fine.
it comes up with a different format. Like German, it always does.
Oh, you're saying the letters will follow the locale on the PC.
Yeah.
But again, new date conversion, you don't need that.
Yeah, it doesn't use it anymore.
Yeah, that's right. And the new baseline, that value doesn't exist. And then I think the way it's actually set up is the advisor has all the format variables, but it'll have unit print, exp date unit print format, but not exp date unit print. And in all the centuries, it's the reverse. They have exp date unit print, but not exp date unit print format, because it formats it when it sends it over.
Called the common expiration date format, which is
Still looking for that.
So they do tech builds for this.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's a manual.
0001.
They're all, I mean, if you guys don't know, it's all knowledge base under documents. Setup manuals is the first one. And they redid a lot of these with 740, and a lot of them are really good now. We used to have problems with some of those. I believe it is, okay.
No, I'm just showing you what it says.
I think that's all I have.
Thank you, Glenn.
So what do you think? Pretty simple?
Still an error.